Right, something I never think about as a sexologist and somebody that has been in the studies and exploration of sexuality and eros for nearly a decade now is where to touch the yoni. I constantly see videos on YouTube that suggest that we need to touch this part of the yoni and we need to get this G spot, this K spot, this P spot, and all these different spots on the yoni as if this is where the magic happens. I want to really make a stand for something very different, and that is actually just coming into a space of trance. The body has unlimited amount of pleasure inside of every part of it, and especially on the central channel, touching the third eye, touching the heart, touching the throat, touching the womb, touching the yoni. All of these parts are just filled with nerve endings and capacity to just upwell with more and more pleasure. But every time we obsess about touching some part of ourselves and wondering why it's not working, all we're going to do is actually convince ourselves that we're broken, when really there's nothing that is broken about us. It's just our inability to come inwards. And the major breakthrough that I personally also had with this, when I was first starting out in sex education and understanding all the different things, I was also obsessed with which parts to touch and what parts to not touch and all that different stuff. And now where my sexuality is at is this experience of recognizing if I go into trance, I will unlock more and more of these parts of myself. And that's all I'm ever really looking for. And so the trance that I actually access, you could just call this arousal really. It's like a capacity to go inwards and to also just come out of the 3D world, come out of the mind. And the mind is really this place where we're very critical, we're very logical, we're thinking, what are we going to do next? Where are we going to touch next? And the more that goes out of our space, the more we actually start to intuitively start to touch different parts of ourselves and access different parts of the body. And what that looks like for me is like, sometimes it's like putting my hands into my partner's mouth, or, like touching some part of them on their third eye, or tapping them, or rubbing them in a certain way that I just haven't done before, but something explosive comes out of that because I've trusted my instinct that's gone inside of the trance in that way. The ways that I personally get into trance is by letting go of thinking about what I should do next. And some of the ways, if I feel like I am caught up in my mind, I will start to breathe differently. So I'll just start to make some sounds, especially the weirder the sounds, the better. This is why ultimately the best advice that you will ever get, weirder the sounds, the better. If you are available to make weird sounds and you can just let that start to upwell, whatever you can bring through your sound, the more access you're going to have to your pleasure. The same with touch. If you tap, if you breathe, if you start to bring circles through the body, through the chest, through the hips, through the different parts of yourself in this way, and just can keep going and let the sound go on and on and on. I've often had experiences when I let the sound move through one breath, and it's not like take a big breath and let the sound come through, but I'll just let the sound move through my mouth, and the sound will go on for so much longer than I think I even have breath for. But because there's something else that starts to access, it's like the trance enables something else to happen. So it's really just seeing how much you can trust yourself to make weird sounds, touch the body anywhere that you feel like it, do very, very light touch, and do like different pressures. That also is a really good access point to bringing in more touch. But the biggest ingredient that you want to actually create is more presence. If you can access presence, the more you're going to start to feel something else can occur. And the more that something else can occur, the more that there's going to be a capacity for something magical to happen. And that is really what pleasure is about. It's like letting magic guide you instead of really thinking that I need to learn all these different things in my mind and incorporate all these different things from my mind into the body. What happens if you just start trusting the body to lead you into your pleasure and into the trance? I'll leave you with that. Let me know if that sounds super weird. I would love to hear what happens if you start using sound, breath, movement, touch in a whole different variety of ways to see if that shifts something for you around your sexuality. Thank you.